But then I cannot dance a painful song from Luis Varga where he has the ding 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 ding
Yeah.
ding, and it's like supposed to be in grief most of the time. I can't dance it the same, and then that's where you clash with some leads because I'm trying to feel the melancholy of the song, but they are like doing all the other things. I
Yeah.
think it's where the dancing clashes, but you're a good dancer. You can
Thank you.
pick them up.
Thank you.
¿Y qué pasó?
Hello, everybody. Katie and Dario here.
Hello, buenas.
We're just trying something a little new because we've been dying to do like a little podcast thing for the channel and for you guys and for everybody. And what better partner than to do a podcast with than Darilyn? How are you? Tired?
No. Just a lot of. You're gonna have to develop a checklist for this.
Yeah. See? It's all good. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about many things because this is hopefully not the only one that we're doing. But I really wanted to do one on bachata because bachata has been trending again.
Yes, it has. People said that bachata will never grow, will never be the next salsa, but hey,
Here it is.
it's coming.
I know. I love when we bump into people on the street and they're like, "Oh, do you salsa? Do you bachata?" Like it's already in the language when we start talking to people. Like they want to know if you know how to do that. So yes, it tells you how much it has evolved. But I wanted to start first with the current state of the music. Yes. So
Yep.
people are gonna expect us to go straight to the dancing because we teach this on and off. But there is not a lot of music being created right now.
Yeah.
And I had someone ask me that not too long ago. I don't think they understand exactly what the state of the music is right now and why don't you see a new album from Luis Vargas, perhaps.
Yeah. This is not mainstream U.S. recording studios or
Or pop music.
mainstream artists where the audience is as big as this are big artists from our islands.
Right. I think the artists are big in the island. They consume the music. It's consumable. People buy the music and people go and support the artist. But like you're saying, it's not like, like The Weeknd coming up with a new album
Yeah.
every single year or Beyonce coming up with 5 albums in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. Esa vaina,
Yeah.
So it's a, like you're saying, it's a change in culture. And why is it that a lot of bachata music is not being created right now? What's your 2 cents? What do you think? Like I know what I think, but what do you think?
It's been there for a while. People probably have not noticed, but Dominican artists are known to not have a record deal, but just rely on unofficial recordings from official parties they make with good recordings. They go on tour, and and people are seeing that now in mainstream U.S. But we have seen it for years.
Right. But when they go on tour, like you mean in the island, right? Because I mean now in the year 2024, I think in the last 5-6 years, which is why we have probably caught a couple of these artists, and we try to tell even our students like, oh my God, you need to go. ¿Cómo que se llama este? The one that we saw a Fuego in Orlando with Rosa and Adam.
I keep confusing them.
Miguel de la Margue.
No, that was one of them, but it was this younger guy.
Well, what you
Man,
think?
yeah.
So, in the last 5-7 years, now they're touring here. And what does a tour look like for a bachata singer? Like it goes, perhaps they go to New York and they spend 2 weeks. It's not like they're spending a month there, They spend 2 weeks. They do a party in the Bronx, a party in the Heights, a party in downtown in one of the Latin clubs, and then they come down to Florida or Connecticut even too. Like I've seen them going to concerts in Connecticut and Orlando and Tampa, and then they go back to the country. And when they tour the country, they tour every single region of the Dominican Republic. And so when we're saying that they're not necessarily recording, I mean, here in America, you record so you could mass sale. But for the bachata Dominican artists is How many parties can I do in a weekend?
Yeah.
You know, and do they really need to record brand new music? Like how many albums does Luis Varga have?
I mean, I think the with the mix of trends here in U.S. and how easy people are popping up with albums, and now it's getting to a point where the older artists are finally noticing I need to keep up. So here you're gonna see some trying to make a mark. I'm still here. I'm recording. I have new music. I have new sound, which is the new one. You know, some artists just never change their sound.
And
so.
it's an investment too. If you're going to record an album, so it's a cost that's to the artist and to the record company, the record label.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think El Torito wants to put that investment when he has like 15 albums already, and he could just go and do a party in La Terrenas and make the money that he needs to. You know, like he's. I think they're just trying to reach a nostalgia from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And he has enough in those 3-4 decades that, pa que yo estar doing a brand new album if I could just do a party with what I have. But who's actually making music? Like if people wanted to know, like who's actually making new music in the bachata world? Who's that person to you?
I don't.
You have no clue?
See, I'm
Darío.
there's so many artists that I have no other names.
I can tell you, there's only a couple. So number one, artists that are not even Dominican. And La Española Eta.
Yeah, but
That's new bachata. That's new
it's
music.
new bachata, and it's it lands really close to the tropical genre instead of the
Yeah, but they
bachata
still
genre.
put that bachata beat to
Yeah.
it, you know?
And
It's very easy to get a couple extra
in
bongos.
our dancing, they'll dance to anything, commercials, anything that resembles or has a bongo in it. But
Yeah.
bachata is bachata.
Yeah, so you don't really call it bachata, but it kind of is. It falls into the genre, right?
Yeah.
And I mean,
I mean,
Romeo.
at the same time, you have those many artists that we still don't know who they are, who don't get out of the island, who still live in that ecosystem far from us here in the U.S. And we get to hear their one-hit wonders here and there, and probably maybe we'll hear them again if they actually stick.
Yeah. I mean, they do sell. Romeo's doing new music. Aventura has done a couple new music. I think Romeo has now evolved into the pop genre, like you said, like the international genre, where he is like the Beyonce of the Dominican
I think we
Republic.
gotta leave that one for a whole podcast because
And he
I
just
don't
comes
wanna-
out with new music
I don't want to
every
start
year.
the back and forth with Romeo's last
Romeo.
album. We'll save them for a new podcast.
I know, right? Another question, just along that same thing that we get a lot is how come women are not singing bachata?
I mean, maybe not as much now. I mean, you could hear remixes.
See, but to me, it just seems that they are listening to a very selective group of artists, like El Torito, Luis Vargas, Romeo, and then you stick to those 3-4 artists, but you don't venture out to the whole world of bachata. So then, to me, you're secluding yourself to everything else because there's a lot of women that sing bachata, and it's not something just in the now; it's something in the birth of bachata.
That is something that, I mean, again, that's another topic, but if you put, as an example, salsa, when you go to a salsa event or salsa party or, what have you, salsa, the best moments of that social is when they start playing the classics. But then you don't see that in bachata.
No, because they don't know. They stopped in.
You know,
I think they stopped listening when in the 90s when Aventura had that first album. Like that's their
classic.
That's their classic, and they forget that there's bachata in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 50s, in the 60s, and they're clueless to that whole world.
I mean, that entails you knowing the history, knowing what the music is, where it comes from. But definitely, you have to pay homage to that golden age.
I think those are the best songs, though. Don't you think?
I mean,
like before Aventura, there's some good music now, but before Aventura, it was good.
The best songs coming to if you have gone through the journey with bachata, and that's what a lot of new dancers are missing. They don't have that connection to how it have evolved and where is it been and where is it now. I mean,
So who do you know before Aventura? That you will say you need to hear to this female, you need to hear her music, you need to Google it, you need to YouTube it, you need to go on Spotify and make a playlist out of her.
I mean, Spotify is a pretty good tool. You could find a lot of albums now.
Which female would
Even
you-
Amazon. I mean, La Sufrida is one of the ones that
Melida,
Melida Sufrida, one of the ones that that have always been there and you could easily find. I tend to hear more on the 80s side, like Maridalia Hernandez.
Mili recorded bachata.
Okay, but
Mili Quesada, and people they just want to label her as a merenguera, but she has bachata and beautiful bachatas that she sang.
yes,
Las Chicas del Can. So what one of the things that we saw that's trending, that's what we started the podcast with, that is the topic of bachata is back on TikTok and Instagram. So that whole cult following of people saying that bachata was born in Puerto Rico.
I think there's a lot of miscommunication there, of course.
Sí.
That
But it comes back like ever so often, no? Like at least
it's the
at least
labels.
once a year you're gonna hear that, and then 30 videos are gonna pop up.
Bachata was born in an era where the entire Caribbean or even Latin America was playing the same type of music.
Right.
But of course, we gave it our Dominican flavor. We put some of our good instruments into it. We gave it that sound, our sound for bachata, and it became bachata.
Right.
So yes, you're gonna have artists from close proximities like Cuba.
Well, that's why
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico has mofongo and DR has mofongo. Like, it's the same thing. It's only given. And I'm pretty sure that the Cubano has something mahao that they
Yeah.
put sauce over it, and it's like a mofongo. So we're all related. We're all cousins, But I think one of the things is that bachata was not invented, and people keep saying it's an invention. Like, this is an invention, and the tablet is an invention. It's like a product that was scientists get together, and we're gonna invent this, and we're gonna put a patent on it.
I mean, you could call it an invention.
No,
it's
you
just,
can't.
It's just a different type of invention. It's not the
not.
one that just
It's-
comes out of the blue and somebody invents this new thing that will fix the problem. This is music. So, music evolves. And you have to find markers and say, this is where finally we can say, I'm a bachata singer and this is a bachata
Well,
song.
bachata dancer, it's a little different than when you compare it to salsa and the birth of salsa, because I would say that salsa was invented. It was invented in the Bronx by a couple of kids that got together. There was this mambo or tropical music that was coming out of the islands and being played at the Palladium in New York, and the dancers were like, oh, I like that bongo, let me put these steps to it. There was actually a group of people that got together. You can pinpoint it to like a decade, a year, and you can name those people. But in bachata, you can't name them. You can't. It's very complicated.
On everybody's root of their own heritage, their own music, we still have the same links. So you're going to find similarities in all of them, no matter how many, whichever way you put.
Right. So bachata is a
The
product of oppression. It's a product of poverty. It's a product of pain and suffering, because it was evolved during the era of horrible dictatorship in the Dominican Republic. And this was not a dictatorship that was for 1 year. It was a period of 50 to 60 years. I'm going to count the post, like after they killed Trujillo and all that stuff, because the bachata was still evolving right after his death in the 60s. And I want people to also be mindful that at the same time, merengue was evolving too. People were dancing merengue, and it was called merengue. You could go to las fiestas and dance merengue, but you couldn't go anywhere and dance bachata. Bachata was the place where merengue was danced. It was a place, So what were some of the things that were coming in that he was actually allowing people to come to?
I mean, big bands of that era, they used to love play cha-cha. They used the, boleros, danzons,
Baladas.
baladas. I mean, that's kind of a little new. You could probably say
Tango.
danzon.
I think tango made it to the island during his era. He wanted his stuff to look sophisticated and polished. Plus, it's another country with a dictatorship. We'll look into that. We'll fact check that. But I think it was going into the island.
Tango.
So he was just allowing those things. So then you have the Afro-Dominican music genres and dances that were there, like palo, atabale, congo, pri and all that stuff. And then you mixed in el chin de merengue that was there, that he was allowing people to dance, right? And then you mixed in the bolero that was coming. You mixed in the cha-cha that was coming into to the island, and people were singing songs of sorrow, of pain, and
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind people giving it the, how they want to kind of mold the new stages of bachata, but they have to understand what it means, where it came from. If you're learning your version of bachata, and you want to become this ambassador of bachata, you're dancing and go places where people know what bachata is, they're gonna look at you like, what is he doing?
oh, I know. I think that's one of the things that we're going to talk about too. So we can talk about how bachatas dance here and how bachatas danced over there in DR. But I think with what you're saying is, I think a lot of people, especially in the dancing, are losing the essence of bachata, and they only want to dance it like especially if it's traditional, brinca the whole damn time, like when you have a song that's why I like to translate some of the songs to our students, because you have a song saying, I lost you and I will never get you back, but then they're dancing like when you should be like melancholy and I mean, you could still do all the steps, but I just think that different dances call for different way of dancing. And it's also odd to see like central dancers dancing to some of those songs too, because you have all the head rolls and all the things,
Yeah.
and the song is like she died in una barranca.
Forcing a head roll in a traditional bachata,
I mean, you can kind of squeeze it if it calls for, like, I could see a head roll in a Torito song because it calls for romanticism. Si tu supiera, it's more romantic
Yeah, but not,
than like a Luis Vargas, where it's like, it's so painful. The song has so much pain. But it's like dicen, like, I don't know if maybe we could put like a translation there on the bottom. That bachata, like really good bachata de cortavena.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you cut your wrist. I know it sounds horrible, but it's like, it's so painful that you just want to end life as is. And a lot of people in the dance part of it, I don't think they can tell the difference between a like voy pa allá, voy a buscar, which is more like happy. Like I can dance that bachata to like happiness y la brincadera y toda esa pierna, but then I cannot dance a painful song from Luis Varga where he has the ding 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 ding, ding, and it's like supposed to be in grief most of the time. I can't dance it the same, and then that's where you clash with some leads, because I'm trying to feel the melancholy of the song, but they are like doing all the other things. I think it's where the dancing clashes, but you're a good dancer. You can pick them up.
Thank you.
You could pick them up, and you like your head rolls and your body rolls too. So don't underestimate Dario's central bachata abilities, because he can get down. So let's talk a little bit, and you kind of touched on it, about how bachatas dance here versus the motherland, because we've had that clash a couple times. Number one, we have people message us all the time saying, "Hey, I'm going to Punta Cana next week, and I want to know where I could go dancing." And I have like awkward silence, like, "Ooh, I think I should tell you how you're supposed to dance there."
I do not want to put you in an awkward position.
Right? But then we went to DR with a couple weddings and with dancers and professional dancers, and we went with our students, like in Aventura Dance Cruise when they landed in Puerto Plata, and we danced a little bit with our students. And I was so happy that they were able to dance the difference. Like they were able to dance the way they dance here, and then they could pick up with the culture of how to blend in and dance like the locals, which is the way that you're supposed to. So what are some of the main differences that you see in the social here with bachata dancing, not music, dancing, and how do you dance bachata in the island? Like, how are you supposed to?
Well, it's all in what it is for us. It's our blues, even if you're not in that mind state, you have to follow suit to what is being played. You don't want to look, awkward in a crowd where they know what it is, and you're just want to show off your body rolls
your two steps that you learned in class.
and your dips. You know, it's you have to you have to dance to the music. You don't dance on top of the music. You know, you have to mingle with what you're hearing. You know?
Blend in. Appreciation of the culture, right? But at least here, what I was saying, give credit to the Latin scene and in the Latin scene, because it's not just in America. You see it in Europa, you see it in Asia and all of the other countries where there's a Latin scene, right? I would say that there's more of a diverse dancer. So in a bachata, 50-50 social where you have half bachata, half salsa, you could see a traditional dancer. You could see someone that dances more sensual, someone that does bachata romántica, which is like your ataque en alemana kind of style of dancing, you know. I can give credit to that the dancer here is more diverse. But then again, in Dominican Republic, like you say, it's part of the culture. You're not going to a Latin dance scene. You're going to blend in with the culture. It's like going to Hawaii and not at least appreciating the hula. Like, at least you're going to do the thing, but you're not going to go in Hawaii and try to do the hula like in your own way and in your own version, you know? So it's kind of the same thing. So mostly, is there a dance school in DR that you dance bachata like here? No. Is there congresses and festivals?
Not the type that you see here.
Not the type that you see here. And we have like our Rudy, who's doing a couple things in DR con el Centro Turístico in DR, trying to do a couple of events over there that mimic the land scene, but the congresses don't exist. Socials.
Well, for me, no. Definitely
no. That's a no. So where do you go dance bachata? You could dance bachata in a
lounge type of...
Like a lounge type of thing where dancing is kind of encouraged. But you have to also remember that el dominicano está tratando de botar el golpe. We're trying to release the stress of the work week. So you're going to see a lot more chairs than a dance floor. Over there. You're not necessarily going to see an open dance floor. Even in the biggest of discotecas, you're not going to see that big of a...
And if you see an open dance floor, they're not going to care for the looks or feel of the dance floor as much as you will find it here. I mean, they just want to open up a space. So if you want to dance,
you get up and dance. Yes. It's more about sitting down, resting, because more than likely you've been working a laborer's job all week. You know, I don't know the specific statistic, but I'm going to say the majority of Dominicans are working hard labor jobs, and you want to sit down. You don't want to be standing up for 4 hours. You want to find you a chair. Dominicans will always find them a chair right away as soon as they get to any place. And they're going to order, I don't want to say that they're ordering liquor to get drunk or inebriated. I say that they want to enjoy a nice drink. So you would see on the table, you will see a bucket of ice, you might see Coca-Cola, you might see Sprite, and you might see a bottle of rum. ¿Verdad? That's like the cultural thing.
I mean, I'm still, once I came into the dancing, I'm still, when I walk into a social and at the end of the social, I'm like, you guys are still dancing?
See?
I mean, take a break.
Here's a chair.
Talk, laugh.
Talk. That's another thing that happens in DR. There's a lot of socializing and a lot of catching up. So how was your week? You know, and the music is not necessarily background music. You know, you're going to hear these people singing the song. They know every single lyric because they want to enjoy the music part of the experience. Yes, I think that the time where a Dominican gets the urge is when they hear Diablo Samba Bachata that's playing, like, that's my song, like, let's go. And you're not gonna see a lot of furufufu, like Dominicans say.
And it's
you're not gonna see a lot of and not even a lot of turns. You might see them turning 3 or 4 times or something like that.
Because it's my song because, oh my God, I love that melody. No, it's because the lyrics in the song speak to them. They relate to it, and they're going to dance listening to that, and they're going to mingle with the music. You know, it's not just, oh, I like the trumpets in this one. I like the breaks. No.
Or I like the guira in this one. Yeah, you know, it's if I'm dancing, it's because the song speaks to me. And it, just like you said before, like, it happens to me sometimes in a social. Or I might, because we know the DJ, I might go up and say, play this song so I could dance. Like, play this song so that I can actually dance to the song, because I want to try to dance to a song that speaks to me. Because If I've been teaching the whole week in school, 9 to 5 or whatever, and then I only get an hour on Friday to be able to dance that one song, like I want to dance that one song, you know?
Yeah.
I want to do that release. So that's kind of like what you can expect between here and there. And just blend in with the crowd. I would say sit down, order your rum, order your Coca-Cola. Don't ask for cranberry and orange juice. You might find it. They might have it already available, but it's more than likely going to be Coca-Cola or Sprite. And watch people, watch their behavior. You know, like you're in the wild. Like watch what's going on and then try to emulate and imitate what they're doing. And then blend in with them, you know? Just blend in with the crowd. Something else that's trending and that's big and controversial in our line dancing is Central Bachata. Is Central Bachata? Is it Bachata?
It is bachata. I think there has to be a learning curve in both sides. You know, traditional bachateros from the Dominican Republic, in the U.S., who teach traditional, who are true purists in the sense of what is bachata in the Dominican Republic, as to whoever's learning bachata, evolving bachata from different walks of life, dances, modern dances, but now are picking up bachata and dancing bachata. Have to, you have to maintain some elements in bachata in that bachata. So I think as long as both sides maintain that reference, I think that should be at recognized as this is where bachata is now.
Yeah, I like that you say that it's an element of the dance and of many dances. I mean, ballet was not considered a reputable dance in its early beginnings, and then from ballet you have contemporary, you have modern dance, you have all these things that evolve from that one dance genre. And now I respect it as its own dance genre. You know, I feel it's almost like a lack of worldview when you have a video that goes viral and you have Dominicans commenting on the video like that's not bachata, like how dare they, that's not how you dance it, that's disrespectful. I think it's a like you're living your life like this and you don't understand that the world is so huge and large.
I think what we need is more people pumping out content, showing what bachata is, where it is now, what has changed, because there's so many other things that can affect the way people comment on social media, because they just wanna be loud, they wanna be funny, they wanna gain likes.
Yeah. I think there's a place for you to have constructive criticism of the dance and to check people, because you also have to, keep a balance of it. Like, wait, you're taking it way too far. Like, okay, 100%, that's not bachata, But then there needs to be a balance where we can say to people, no, papa, like that's bachata, and they're dancing pretty well, and it's an evolution of the dance. And we also need to be respectful of these artists because they have worked really hard for their particular genre. Yeah. It's not the bachata that you're used to, but it's still bachata, And I think now I also like the fact that it has evolved into a couple different genres. Like for a long time, it was just traditional and it was sensual. But now you have bachata romántica too, which is like the ataque en alemana kind of style. And they're also one of the couples that brought bachata dancing to the mainstream. Not music, but dancing. They were one of our first viral couples. But I think that you can dance in their style. You can dance more like Alex and Desiree from New York, which is more traditional, like Fausto, that's more New York style bachata. Like I call it more like an urban flair to it. Because if Fausto wanted to dance very traditional in his roots, he can. Like if he's social dancing, you can see that. But what he's putting out on stage is more giving it a more urban feel, a more youthful feel to it. More on the New York style sense, which I think it's a great evolution of the dance itself. Then you still have the central. Now you have like elements of zouk in central. Yeah. So now you have couples, you have truest of central bachata where you have your body rolls and your things. But then now you have people putting zouk elements into it where they're doing tricks and all these other things. I think that there's a place for that. The only thing is in the social dancing that gets a little uncomfortable where you and I are dancing to like El Torito and then there's someone next to you doing a lift. You know, like, okay,
Yeah.
that's, you know, there's a time and a place for.
I think there's other conversations where people say, well, you know, Latin dance events, congresses, they're going away from highlighting performing to just highlighting partying, and then you're taking people working hard to be on stage, and then other people now working hard to be social dancing. But I mean, don't you see how they're kind of intermixing and people are not noticing? You want to be so technical, you want to have so many new moves or small acrobatics that now your social now is becoming what you will put on stage. So,
I know.
So maybe we'll see the rise of performances.
Yeah, and I think that takes away from the social element, you know, because you're doing way too much on the dance floor, and that should be something for the stage. You look very pretty doing it, and I love that you can do that, but put it on stage and not on the dance floor, or at least wait for 5 a.m. at the Congress where the floor is empty, and then you can do it, you know, where you're not bothering everybody else. Yes. Well, thank you for doing this with me. It was fun.
You're welcome.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're gonna try our very best to maybe do one of these a week, or maybe 2 or 3. I think it's a good way of putting information out there. Today was all about bachata, so if there was anything that we left out in the bachata world and music and dance and evolution and history, make sure that you comment below so that we can pick it up and maybe nitpick it in the next podcast.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a lot of podcast styles, you know, pre-recorded. You know, final. You know, it'll be finalized and put out there. But leave a comment, leave ideas that you guys maybe you should guys talk about this, or let's round into this detail that you guys mentioned. Let's make it a bigger segment. You know.
And we have an idea what we want to do next, because we have Baila Tampa coming up in May. So maybe we should talk about congresses and festivals. There's a couple interesting topics there that I would love to dive in. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share it.
Yep.
And leave all your comments there so that we can bring you the best of the best.
All right.
Bye.